Alright, welcome back to my video entitled I made a guitar out of a spare tire and coffee creamer. This is not that guitar. This is one that I made out of actual wood. But anyway, I'm at the wet sanding stage. I started with 1000 grit wet paper, and you can see the little tiny scratches right here that the paper is leaving behind. And that's the trick is to keep the paper wet. If your paper gets too dry, these little scratches seem to be more obvious. But here's that little spot that's been haunting me for this entire build ever since I put the veneer on. Now, a good practice would have been for me to run the veneer across the entire body at the same height as the neck without the fretboard on it. So in other words, I would have had to notch the neck. Remember, this is neck through. So there's really no good way for me to put the veneer under the fretboard. So what that means is, as I'm sanding, I gotta kind of stay away from that edge. That's why you see that shiny edge in there, because I don't want my wet paper to be putting a lot of moisture in this area or this area here, because it can get under the veneer and it can buckle it or cause the wood to swell. So I just get up really, really close with my wet paper. I constantly wipe the moisture off of there. And what I'll do is, on my next sand, I'll go to 1500 grit. I'll dry sand maybe a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch wide right here to try to get rid of those shiny spots. And then I'll wet sand, staying away from this corner and this corner over here. This came out pretty good, but I do still have some shiny spots. There it is. You can see it now. Try and get the camera just right. See those little shiny spots right there? And there's the other one. See how it lights up depending on the angle? So I'm not going to go all the way down with 1000 grit until those are gone, because I'm so close to having them gone that I'm gonna when I do the 1500, I'll take, probably 75% of those shiny spots out of there, and then I'll go up to 2000 and I'll get the rest of it out of there. Now there is one little problem on the back, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. To do that, I'm going to try to balance the phone up here on top of the light. Wow, it actually worked. Okay, so I'll show you on the back. Let's see if I can remember where it is. Oh, it's right there. Okay, so, no, it's not there. Oh, there it is. I seem to have misplaced my flaw. Right. I can't find it. I think it's right here. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Okay. See right there. So the veneer, I think, is a little proud of the binding. So it's just a hair. I may be able to sand down to it, but I don't want to sand and say, oh, I got to keep sanding until I get down to it, because I don't want to sand into the veneer. So I got my paint pen right here. This is a gloss black paint pen, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edge of that tip and I'm going to let it dry. I think I got it all. I think. Can't really tell. Okay, that's definitely got it all. Run my finger around to see if I can feel any other flaws in it. So I think that's the only spot I got. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll wet sand, and I'll take away the paint that I just got on top of the lacquer. So when I sand that down, any excess black paint is going to come off. It's just going to be like the tiniest little drop of black paint in there. And I'm going to let that dry. And then when I wet sand, it'll all go away. And I should have filled in that little spot of binding right there. So we'll show it to you when it's all done. But I just wanted to share that update with you guys. So far, I'm loving this. The neck I might start with an 800 grit paper because the clear coat's a little bit more coarse and definitely a little heavier on the neck. So I might start with an 800 just to take out any of the orange peel. I can feel it more than I can see it. But this transition right here came out perfect. So I just left the guitar upside down and I sprayed down on an angle so that I made sure I covered that seam between where the paint ends and the binding starts. So it came out really good. There's no ridge there. I can't feel anything. But I put it on pretty heavy just to fill that up. So I'll cut it back with some 800 paper, and then I'll do a 1000. I'll 1000 the whole back and the whole sides to get it the same as the front of the guitar. And then I'll go 1500, 2000, then a 2500, and then I'll start buffing. But I do got to let this paint sit for maybe an hour, a couple hours to stiffen up a little bit before I try to run it over with some wet paper. So back after all the sanding is done, and then I'll show you guys how I polish.